Good evening. Good evening. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another live edition of Carolina Panthers Talk, brought to you by Blitzball Champ Gaming here on the U to the Tube. I'm your host, Blitzball Champ Jason Ingram. Breaking news. It's official. The decision has been made. Happened a little bit quicker than I thought, but it's Thursday. So I guess I shouldn't be too surprised. But Carolina Panthers have agreed to hire Frank Reich as their new head coach. Former Indianapolis Colts head coach, as well as former Carolina Panther quarterback that began the franchise with the Carolina Panthers. So, going to talk about the hire, see how everybody's feeling. What does this mean going forward? But first off, I want to remind folks to check out Game Beauty. Click on the link in the description box. Check out a pretty cool line of video game themed cosmetics and makeup stuff. And if you're interested in making a purchase, use the promo code BlitzballChamp to get 10% off of your order. So definitely check that out. After all, Valentine's Day is coming up. Get that special gift for that special lady. Anyway, let's talk about it. Finalists came down to Frank Reich, Steve Wilkes, Kellen Moore, and they ended up going with Frank Reich. So this will be the sixth head coach in Carolina Panthers franchise history. And this marks their first offensive-minded, heavily offensive background coaching hire. Also a former quarterback. And you know what? I'm okay with the hire. Among many other that would have fit the bill, I'm definitely okay with this hire. And I do believe there's some advantages and disadvantages to this hire. I think there's definitely advantages and disadvantages. But, there's a couple of things that I wanted to mention. So there's a bunch of articles that I looked into from the Panthers.com. But there's a couple of things. There's a couple of things to know about Frank Reich. So we're going to start there. Going to start at the article that I have on here. 5 things to know about Frank Reich. All right, let's just go right into it. Number 1, he has a past with the Indianapolis Colts. It says Frank Reich was most recently the Colts head coach from 2018 to 2022, compiling a 40-33-1 record through the past 5 seasons. And that doesn't include postseason. Indianapolis went to the playoffs twice with Frank Reich at the helm, and the Colts went 1-2 in the postseason during his tenure. So he does have some postseason experience as well. In 2018, Reich inherited a team led by quarterback Andrew Luck and made it to the divisional round of their first season together before Andrew Luck retired ahead of 2019 season. Reich made it to the postseason one other time in 2020, and that was when they lost to the Buffalo Bills in the wild card round. So that's his experience lately with the Colts. So, did a little something with Andrew Luck and also went to the playoffs twice 5 seasons, went to the playoffs twice with the Indianapolis Colts. Welcome, Joe Valesco. Welcome to the stream. Okay, number 2. Frank Reich has a Super Bowl under his belt when he was offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. It says before his stint with Indianapolis, he was offensive coordinator for Philadelphia Eagles for 2 seasons. Led the Eagles to a Super Bowl win at the end of 2017, where they had Nick Foles that played in the Super Bowl in their victory when Carson Wentz went down for the season with a torn ACL. Philadelphia finished 13-3 at the end of the regular season, improving from a previous 7-9 record in 2016, which was Reich's first year heading up the Eagles offense. So that's a pretty big positive there. I mean, 7-9 to a 13-3 and a Super Bowl. So he brings other experience as well, not just as a head coach. We have to remember, he was also offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach, and wide receivers coach. Okay. 3, playing with the Buffalo Bills. This is another interesting fact. Frank Reich's playing days were spent chiefly behind future Hall of Fame quarterback Jim Kelly at Buffalo, where he went to 4 straight Super Bowls as a player. Reich was with the Bills from 1985 to 94 after they drafted him in the 3rd round of the 1985 draft. Though he spent most of his years as Jim Kelly's backup, Frank Reich led the largest postseason comeback in NFL history during the 92 playoffs when Buffalo overcame a 35-3 deficit to beat the Houston Oilers in the wild card round by a final score of 41-38. Woo! Perhaps foreshadowing his highlight in Buffalo, Reich led his college team, Maryland, to what was the biggest comeback in NCAA history in 84 against Miami, where they were down 31-0 and coming back to win 42-40 over the Hurricanes. Joe Valesco says, where was you at when the news broke? At work. I was at work. So wow. Had quite a tenure with the Bills, even as a backup, and a few comeback victories in his career in the NFL as well as the college. Okay. Oh, you was at school, Joe Valesco? Gotcha. Okay. Number 4, he was the original Carolina Panthers quarterback. That's right. The first starter for the Carolina Panthers franchise when they debuted in 1995. Reich became Carolina's first starting quarterback when he debuted for a Week 1 match against the Falcons, starting 3 games before Kerry Collins eventually took over. Reich was with the Panthers for only their inaugural season, during which they went 7-9, the best record for a first-year expansion team in NFL history. So, but we didn't see him again after that first season. So there's that. And number 5, which is kind of interesting. I don't know how big of a deal this makes, but his faith background in Charlotte. Frank Reich previously spent time in Charlotte in ministry. He served as the president of Reformed Theological Seminary's campus in Charlotte from 03 to 06 after starting as a student there in 98. Reich later became the pastor of Cornerstone Presbyterian, now called Ballantine Presbyterian. He left Cornerstone in 07 when he took on his first coaching opportunity with the Colts. Man of faith. So yeah, those are 5 things about Frank Reich. Now, as far as him getting this coaching position, the word is they haven't disclosed yet, or I haven't seen anything specifically yet, but the word is that it's going to be a 4-year deal. 4-year deal. That's what the word is. I haven't heard anything official, but supposedly the word is that it's a 4-year deal. Not only that, so according to Joe Person on Twitter, it's a 4-year deal. Yeah, 4 years. I don't know how much, but 4-year deal. And is expected to sign the contract on Monday. So, barring anything crazy changes, Frank Reich's our guy for 4 years. Now, there's some other interesting information here about Frank Reich. Like I said, there's a bunch of different articles on CarolinaPanthers.com. There's another one that talks about the perspective, the new perspective he gives on the Carolina Panthers roster. So, one of the things we have to remember, David Tepper, the owner, what was said was the desire was for a head coach that has head coaching experience, and also a head coach or a coach that has an offensive mind. It's something that we've never had before. So it lines up. It lines up. Now, I understand with that first statement, it kind of disqualifies a lot of the coordinators they were interviewing, that have never been head coaches before, which, it is what it is. But that's what they wanted. That's what they wanted. So, listen to this. With this article, it says, and I quote, "There are a lot of reasons the Panthers agreed to terms with Frank Reich to be their head coach. But the shortest and simplest reason is they wanted to do something different. By hiring an established offensive mind, the Panthers give themselves something they've never really had in their first 28 years of existence: a head coach from an offensive side of the ball." Frank Reich stands out as a guy who handled many different situations well and succeeded. Went 40, 33-1 in Indianapolis, not including the postseason, with a constantly changing cast at quarterback. In his 4 full seasons there, he had 3 top 10 scoring offenses with 3 different quarterbacks: Andrew Luck, Phillip Rivers, Carson Wentz, and went to the playoffs twice. He's been Peyton Manning's position coach as well. That kind of background working with quarterbacks, which he has a heavy background, that kind of background makes him attractive here, where the team has clearly been looking for a long-term answer at quarterback, which makes me believe they are going to be aggressive in getting their quarterback. He has a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles as the offensive coordinator on a team playing its backup quarterback, which was Nick Foles. 25 years earlier, he was the backup who led what was the biggest comeback in league history when the Bills rallied from a 35-3 deficit to beat the Oilers in the 92 playoffs. And, of course, first starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers in 95. First 4 head coaches were defensive coordinators: Don Capers, George Seifert, John Fox, Ron Rivera. Matt Rule was never considered an offensive nor defensive guy, but more of a CEO-type administrator. I guess that's one way to put that. Not to mention, I think before Carolina, even like when he had a stint with the Giants, he was an offensive line coach. So that's probably the closest thing, but another interesting stat. I want y'all to think about something. In the 28 years of this Panther franchise, this team has finished top 10 in total offense 3 times. Three. In 28 years, they have finished with a top 10 offense 3 times. Let that sink in. The first time was in 99 when they finished 6th overall, where George Seifert pretty much came from the Niners to the Panthers, and that was when they had Steve Berline, Muhsin Muhammad, Patrick Jeffers, Wesley Walls. Okay. The second time was in 08 when they were ranked 10th overall, when they had Jake Delhomme, Steve Smith, Muhsin Muhammad, Smash and Dash, the John Fox era. And then the third time, 2011, they were 7th overall, the Cam Newton era. So those are the only 3 times in franchise history, 99, 08, and 2011, that the Panthers have had a top 10 offense. So perhaps going with an offensive-minded coach isn't that bad of an idea, y'all. I'm just saying. 3 years out of 28, do the math. I'm just saying. Now, as far as the other 25 years, the Panthers have been defined by their ability to stop opponents more than being the ones you try to stop. I mean, after all, when it comes to defense, many names come up. Sam Mills, Kevin Green, Julius Peppers, Luke Kuechly, Thomas Davis. The list continues. But now the Panthers are on a new course, and Frank Reich gives them an opportunity to change their style while sliding comfortably into a city that's changed considerably since the last time he was here, which he was a quarterback. He's been here, done that. Experience set him apart from all other offensive coaches they interviewed. And while his background is different than the guys who held the job before him, his personality makes him a fit here. Reich is understated. He's calm, but he exudes the gravity and leadership the job demands. And of course, he's walking into a situation with a lot of uncertainty on offense. But because of his experience working with a ton of different quarterbacks, plus the fact that he was once a quarterback himself, makes him well suited for the task. Overall, figuring out how to put all the pieces on offense together and build them up will be Frank Reich's job. And he gets to put his own stamp, his own flair on it from a background that no other Carolina Panthers coach has had. While it may not be everybody's favorite, I can understand why they picked him. So a total of 30 years of experience as a player and as a coach. And he is now going to be the 6th head coach in Carolina Panthers franchise history. And this will be really big to start out for him, because first job, according to this article about his experience and contacts on developing the offense, now he's got to build his coaching staff. He's got to build his coaching staff. Okay. So, like I said, he's agreed to terms. Word is it's supposed to be 4 years. He signs his contract on Monday, this coming Monday. They pointed out during the interview process that his depth chart of potential coaches was one of the things that stood out to the team's decision maker. So apparently Frank Reich has an idea of who he wants already. Staffing was somewhat of an issue in recent years in terms of both experience and turnover. The hope is that with Reich's ties throughout the NFL, he will be able to build a staff quickly, possibly including some existing staffers, but that's a job for the days to come. The bigger job will be to put his imprint on the offense. Now, I want to reiterate, who are you looking for offensive coordinator? That's a good question, because it looks like for sure, at least we know Ben McAdoo, he's about to be out of there. So we'll have to really, really see who may be available, who would be a nice go-to. So that I'm still kind of thinking on. But check this out, and I reiterate, the Panthers have never had a head coach with an offensive background. Ever. Keep that in mind. Especially considering only 3 years out of 28, they've had a top 10 offense. Okay? Frank Reich walks into this situation with a background not only playing as a quarterback, coaching quarterbacks. He was a quarterbacks coach, a wide receivers coach, and offensive coordinator, as well as number 5 being head coach. That's 5 things, 5 different things. Okay? From being the backup quarterback on the Bills to being the starter of the Panthers. He was also Peyton Manning's quarterbacks coach and led 3 top 10 offenses with Indianapolis with 3 different quarterbacks. Let me reiterate. Peyton Manning, Phillip Rivers, Andrew Luck. Just imagine if Andrew Luck didn't retire. Let that sink in for a moment. The Panthers have 2 quarterbacks under contract as we speak. Matt Corral, and we just brought back Jacob Eason. That's it. Those are the only 2 quarterbacks we have under contract. The rest is either gone, i.e. Baker Mayfield, or will be heading to free agency. Sam Darnold, PJ Walker. And while the 9th overall pick in the upcoming draft gives them options, it's not as if there's a surefire turnkey starter waiting to be picked this April. All right. The Panthers are thin at running back right now, being that Deontay Foreman is a free agent, and he's got some decisions to make, which I do believe we should bring him back. But we have to see how that goes. Now, Wide receivers. I mean, DJ Moore is obvious. But here's the thing with DJ Moore. DJ Moore has never had quarterback stability since he's debuted in the National Football League. And despite that, he has produced. He has hit 5,000 receiving yards total in his NFL career. Now, he put up 888 yards this season, fewest in his career, but also nearly 400 yards more than the next best guy on the list. And you know who that was? Terrace Marshall Jr., who had showed some flashes. The tight ends are mostly blockers, not really putting up big numbers in the passing game. So there's a lot that can be improved upon in the passing game, which will be a big challenge for Frank Reich, and really figuring out how to best utilize these pieces or to, add on or retool. Offensive line has been the best that it's been in quite a long time for the Carolina Panthers. But we ran into a few issues. One, Austin Corbett unfortunately tore his ACL in the final game of the season, which got successful surgery. Now he's doing the rehab. Word is he'll hopefully be ready to go the start of the regular season, but needs to be able to get reps in as soon as he can. So we'll have to, that's something that has to be monitored. Brady Christensen, broken ankle. Now, the only thing with Brady Christensen is he could miss some off-season work because he has a shorter rehab time. And then you have Bradley Bozeman, who's an unrestricted free agent, somebody that I really feel we need to bring back. That's a lot. But I believe Frank Reich is the type of man that could handle this for sure. I believe so. Hey, Kevin, welcome to the stream. Hello, how do you feel about this hire? I'm happy with it overall. Yeah, I can dig. Because I don't know if you caught the earlier parts, but the fact that in the 28 years that this franchise has been around, we've only had 3 seasons where our offense was in the top 10. And this is our first offensive-minded head coach. You can't really blame them for making this hire. You can't. That's not throwing any shade to the other candidates, but you can't be shocked at them making this move. You really can't. You can't. 3 years out of 28 seasons? Yeah. Kevin says, that is true. Our defense has always been decent, but offense not good. I mean, and not to mention, do you know what those 3 years were? Those 3 years were 1999, 6th overall, 2008, 10th overall, and 2011, 7th overall. Those are the 3 years. 99, 08, and 2011. Those are the 3 years that this franchise had a top 10 offense. And that's the funny thing. The two Super Bowl years weren't even on the list. Isn't that funny? The 2 years we went to the Super Bowl, we weren't even a top 10 offense. Wow. That's crazy. That says something. Yeah, Kevin, I would have thought 2015 would have been one of those years, but nah. As far as top 10 offense, apparently not, Kevin. Not 2015. Apparently not. Says 29, or excuse me, 99, 08, and 2011. Offensive line. We're talking overall offense, though, Kevin. Overall offense. Overall offense. I didn't want to believe it at first, but and the crazy thing is 99 was when we had George Seifert. 08, John Fox. 2011, Ron Rivera. It's interesting. It's really, really interesting. We might have been a top 15 offense in 2015, though. Yeah, probably. But yeah, when I read that earlier, I was like, wow. I would not have imagined those were the 3 years we were in top 10 overall offense. Wow. It's crazy. Oh, hey, what's up, Jeff R? Welcome to the stream. Oh, nah, we're only about 30 minutes in. You're good. What do you guys think about the hire? I'm cool with it. I mean, first ever offensive-minded head coach for this franchise, a franchise that's only had the top 10 offense 3 times out of 28 seasons. I'm not really shocked that they made this decision. And like I said, it's no shade to the other candidates, but I can see why they made this move. Productive offense and offense are 2 different things, though. But Kevin, I literally said overall offense, top 10 overall offense, overall, everything, all of the above. That's not to say that the years that you mentioned weren't good, but they weren't in the top 10. Jeff R says, I think we're going to run no huddle now. At least that's his philosophy. That's a good point, actually. Joe Valesco's happy. Okay. Jeff R, how are you feeling? Because I know you wanted Wilkes, but how are you feeling about this? And anybody else that's in the chat can chime in as well. But and no doubt, many other candidates would fit the bill for sure. But I think what really narrowed this down was the fact that Tepper wanted an experienced head coach and an offensive-minded head coach. So with that, I felt like a lot of the coordinators that have never been head coaches pretty much got disqualified. And then offensive-minded, which, maybe some faster play calling. Yeah, could happen. Jeff R says, I have mixed emotions. We'll definitely be better on offense. Kevin says we still need to put it together, which goes for beyond the coach in our situation. Facts. And this is where Frank Reich has to get to work. Now, the word is now he signs his contract on Monday, and the word is it's 4 years. The word is that it's 4 years. I don't know how much money or whatnot, but the word is 4 years. So, now there's some advantages and disadvantages to this. Now, and as a matter of fact, Jeff R., you just hit on one of my disadvantages. Wonder how our players are going to take this. That's one disadvantage with this move because everybody was pulling hard for Steve Wilkes to get the nod. So how could this affect morale remains to be seen. Now, there are a lot of folks that have chimed in that like this decision. Steve Smith, Jonathan Stewart, there's a handful of folks that like this move that, congratulate them and all that. A lot of the analysts like this move as well, but I know a lot of fans, a lot of the players really wanted Steve Wilkes. So this could potentially affect morale in a negative way. As a matter of fact, I was on Facebook earlier, and a good percentage of the folks hate this decision, like flat out hate it. They hate it. Kevin says, what did he do for the Colts? What are his accomplishments? So, his time with the Colts, not including the postseason, a record of 40, 33, and 1. Postseason record of 1-2, which the Colts went to the playoffs twice. So out of the five seasons he was coaching, went to the playoffs twice. They had a top 10 offense 3 times. I think that was one of the things that stood out. Yeah, 3 top 10 offenses. And remember, he was Peyton Manning's quarterback's coach. And has helped coach a top 10 offense with 3 different quarterbacks. Andrew Luck, Phillip Rivers, and oh my goodness, I'm having a brain fart. Oh my God, I was having a brain fart. Oh, Carson Wentz. So Andrew Luck, Phillip Rivers, Carson Wentz, and coached Peyton Manning when he was playing, which, of course, Peyton Manning has 2 Super Bowls, one being with the Colts. So he really brings an offensive mind. Not to mention, and something I didn't know, but apparently he led 2 big deficit comebacks as a quarterback. One with the Bills and one with Maryland back in college. That I did not know until I looked this up. So, I mean, if one thing is there, it's experience. Another thing that's there is offensive mind. Colts benefited from a weak division during that time. They did have Jacoby Brissett as well. How long has he coached for? As a head coach, 5 seasons. But he's been a quarterback's coach, wide receivers coach, as well as offensive coordinator. So he's got quite a resume, 5 different positions: a quarterback, offensive coordinator, Quarterbacks coach, wide receivers coach, head coach. It's quite a resume. I wonder if Frank Reich is going to try bringing in Nick Foles or Carson Wentz. We need a fresh quarterback, Joe Valesco. We need a fresh quarterback. We need a fresh quarterback. Kevin says he wants Tom Coughlin. What? Although he does have a great head coaching record. He does have a great head coaching record. I will give you that. Man, if only he was a little younger. Only he was a little younger. Desert Ops, welcome to the stream, says we need a fresh coach because he ain't it. Who would you have liked to have? I take it you disagree with the Frank Reich pick. Who would you have liked to have? Kevin once wanted Doug Peterson, which was fair point. Fair point. Had to stretch a little bit. But it looks like with this move happening, which goes into another disadvantage, it's very possible that we won't be able to retain Steve Wilkes in some capacity, not even as defensive coordinator. So I think he's going to be looking at possibly an interview with the Falcons and whatnot. So we got that. Desert Op says, I wish they would have gave Steve an actual chance. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. That's a fair argument, but there's a couple of things with that. Number one, I understand that he didn't coach a full season with us. I understand that. But at the same time, he still had an opportunity to make the playoffs and was one win away and failed. Number one. Number two, as much as I hate to point this out, Tepper wanted a head coach with experience and offensive-minded, which Steve Wilkes is not. Not to mention, he did a lot of good things with Carolina, but a 9-18 head coaching record is not attractive. It's not. Hate that it went down like that, but it's not attractive. 3, as I mentioned earlier, out of the 28 years, we've never had an offensive-minded coach, and we've only had the top 10 offense 3 out of those 28 years. I think it's time we give an offensive-minded head coach a shot. Mr. Harvey, welcome to the stream. New subscriber. Love your commentary on sports. I appreciate it. Reminds me of Herb, former Wolfpack basketball coach. Stay way too long. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Kevin says, what is a higher chance, winning the lottery or Panthers winning a Super Bowl? I would go the first. Well, I mean, we've been to the big dance twice. We just need to get there more. That's all. And actually win it. Remember, Luke used to guard wide receivers and tight ends a lot of the time. This is true. Nathan John, welcome to the stream. Love it, Blitz. Now let's draft a quarterback in the first round. Yes. Desert Ops says, well, when you put it that way, I can totally agree with you. And like I said, don't get me wrong. I'm not against Steve Wilkes. If one thing I will say about Steve Wilkes, defense, that man knows defense. Period. If he was able to stay as defensive coordinator, I would welcome that with all the open arms on the planet. And one thing's for sure, did a better job than Matt Rule. Hands down, did a better job than Matt Rule. And it's like, I hate that it had to go down like this, especially another North Carolinian. But I mean, I really felt like one of two things was going to happen. One, Ben McAdoo's play calling was going to kind of unverbally throw him under the bus. And two, not making the playoffs when he had the chance to make the playoffs. Even under the circumstances, you still got to deliver. So it sucks. It really sucks, but I'm not surprised at this move. I would love Jerry Rice as a head coach. Man, the players would love him. Jerry Rice, one of the best to play wide receiver for sure. Nathan John says if he won the Bucs game, he would still be here. Facts. I said at the time that game would probably cost him the job. Blitz. I wish him well. Did a great job. Yeah, and it's unfortunate. And it's such a bummer because it was against a team we mollywopped the first game. Kept him out of the end zone the first game. Not to mention, unfortunately, I don't think Steve Wilkes does a great job of making adjustments. I don't think he makes adjustments. So I hope he can succeed wherever he does land, because he definitely deserves a chance, deserves an opportunity. Kevin says, even Teddy Bridgewater in his last interview that Matt Rule never practiced red zone. Matt Rule was so annoying. This is true. This is definitely true. Nathan John says, interested to see who Frank Reich brings in as defensive coordinator. Would love Fangio if possible. That's been a favorite for a lot of folks, Vic Fangio. And it would be really cool. It would be really cool. It would definitely be really cool. Talk was Gus Bradley could follow him over from Indy. Interesting. But one thing we do know, Ben McAdoo is out the door. He's out the door. So at least there's that. But Gus Bradley, defensive coordinator, maybe. I mean, doesn't have a great head coaching record, but Also, Nathan John makes a good point. Yeah, offensive coordinator not too important as Frank Reich will be calling the plays. That's actually a good point as well. That's a good point as well. They fired Ben McAdoo or no? So apparently Ben McAdoo, if you try to access him on the website, there's an error. So, but I don't expect Ben McAdoo to stay. I really don't. I'm sorry, but Ben McAdoo did not do well. McAdoo did not do well. But yeah, so more articles are coming up that it is indeed a 4-year contract. We just don't know the amount money-wise. But word is, it is a 4-year contract. But I'm really looking forward to see how they get to work on this offense, Gus Bradley is a decent defensive coordinator, but would much prefer Vic Fangio. Agreed. Worst all-time coordinator in history of football. I don't know. Chip Kelly. Well, no. You know what? Now that I think about it, I think you're right. I think you're right. No, Kevin, I think you're right. I had to think about it, but yeah, I think you're right. Overall, I'm excited for the next year with this coach. Khalil Wesley, hey, it's been a while. Welcome to the stream. I hope Frank Reich can develop Corral this season when he comes back from injury. He could ball out. We never know. Well, I hope he will definitely get his shot. You know, he didn't really get a fair shot in the preseason. You know, got hurt in the Patriots game. So I really do hope he gets his shot. He's out of the walking boot, so that's progress. So hopefully he does get his shot, and I believe he'll have a chance to compete. He'll have a chance to compete for that starting position. It's really going to also come down to does Frank Reich perhaps want a bridge quarterback, or just go aggressive in the draft, maybe move up to get our guy and have him and Corral battle it out. We know we have Jacob Eason. We know we have him. We know we have Corral. Those are the only two signed quarterbacks that we have currently. So, you know, we haven't drafted and developed a quarterback since Cam Newton. I think it's time. And I agree with Nathan John. No more mid-tier veteran quarterbacks, please. I'm through. Yeah, I would agree. I don't want no Tom Brady. I don't want no Derek Carr. No, thank you. We need to keep our players. We never have a full team together. The only crazy good players are Foreman, Luvu, and Hecker. Oh, yeah, true. Good point. And Horn. We still got Horn. I wouldn't count out Horn, only because he had a great sophomore year. Khalil Wesley says, let's get Carr. No. We need to draft a quarterback. We need to start fresh and develop a quarterback. No to Derek Carr. No. We done tried too many of those experiments, and they have failed. We need to develop a quarterback. So I'm going to have to disagree. No Derek Carr. It makes no sense to do that. So I'm going to have to respectfully disagree. Do they have the budget to an A-list quarterback, as Mr. Harvey says? I don't believe so, because remember, we got the cap issue. So I would say no. The most, well, no, I'm not going to say the most. The only thing that I can think of off the bat that they should consider doing as far as bringing back Panther players that are free agents is Deontay Foreman, Bradley Bozeman, and I mean, kicker, I mean, Pinero did well, but we still have Zane Gonzalez on contract. So if Zane can come back healthy, then Zane should be fine. He was automatic for us before he got hurt. How about Matt Corral? We drafted him. I think Matt Corral is going to get a shot. I think he's going to get a shot. And I agree with Nathan John, no to Carr. And the good thing about drafting a rookie is they are much cheaper than a Carr would be from a slurry cap standpoint, can add talent around them. Facts. Khalil Wesley says we should keep Darnold. He did show improvement last season. That may be a possibility as far as bridge quarterback, but it's going to depend on how much he costs. But Whether that happens or not, we need to draft a quarterback and start developing somebody. Because let's keep it real, Khalil Wesley. Sam Darnold did some good things. Fell apart in the final game of the season, but still has a ways to go. Still has a ways to go. Carr would actually, on paper, be the best quarterback we have had in a while, but need a new guy likely. Agreed. Mr. Harvey says, do you think they should let some low-performing players go to free up some cap for a better quarterback? If I could think of some folks to let go, I would say at least C.J. Henderson, and I hate to say it, but it might be time to say bye-bye to Shaq Thompson and look at trade options for him. But C.J. Henderson, sorry, but he's got to go. Those are the only two I can think of off the top of my head. Damian Wilson, I don't think did that well. Corey Littleton, I don't think did that well. So, just off the top of my head. Nathan John says, if we have to pay a vet like Carr, it will cost us $30 to $40 million compared to a first-round rookie, $15 to $20 million. That's too high level players we miss out on. True. Agreed. Khalil Wesley says, Tepper said he still want Levis. My thing is, Levis has been plagued with injuries. He's been plagued with injuries. So, lately the word I've been hearing is either C.J. Stroud or Anthony Richardson. Shaq's gone for sure unless he redoes his contract. We won't be paying him $24 million next year. Yeah, because as much as I like the dude, his production has gone down. Taylor Moton could be on his way. He seems to be regressing respectively. This season definitely wasn't his best, but I still like where he is in regards to how our offensive line did this year. So I'm not quite ready to give up on Taylor Moton. Would love to get Patrick Queen as middle linebacker if the Ravens don't bring him back. Yeah, we really need to hit that middle. We really need to hit that middle linebacker spot. Mr. Gemini, welcome to the stream. What's up? And you probably answered this already, but do you think Reich was the right choice? I do. And any player doesn't want to play for Reich can go. It's a choice that makes sense, being our history of number one, top 10 offenses, only 3 years out of 28. This is our first offensive-minded head coach, and he has a decent resume with 5 different positions, one being a player and the rest being a coach. So it makes sense with the direction that they want to go. Khalil Wesley says Ohio State quarterbacks and Florida quarterbacks struggle in the NFL. Here's the thing. Regardless of who we draft, it's going to be a risk anyway. Those might be true. Fact of the matter is, it's going to be a risk anyway with the draft. So, I mean, it is what it is. Even Will Levis, C.J. Stroud, each one of those. It's going to be a risk either way. Joe Valesco says, if we pick a quarterback, I want C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, or the Tennessee guy. Hendon Hooker. But yeah, Hendon Hooker, who I think is the oldest of the group. I think is the oldest of the group. I could be wrong. Khalil Wesley, any of those quarterbacks could be a bust. Any of them. It's going to be a risk either way. Fact of the matter is the best that we can do is pick one and try to develop them. Now, somebody like Anthony Richardson might end up sitting out the first year and learning behind the bridge quarterback, but we're going to have to take a chance on somebody in that draft. I don't personally have a preference because, like I said, my college football knowledge isn't that big compared to NFL knowledge. So I don't have a preference, but regardless, we should draft a quarterback. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. But overall, Frank Reich is our guy. I'm cool with the move. Some folks like it. There's a lot that hate the decision, but if that happens, the next 3 years back to square one. Hey, I mean that's just the risk that we got to take. I mean, we hadn't been to the playoffs since 2017. We're trying something different. Mr. Gemini says, I hope it doesn't happen, but I wonder how the fan base would feel if Wright fails. It ain't going to be too good. I mean, not only that, but I mean, would it be different if Wilkes failed? I don't think it would be any different if Wilkes failed. My whole issue overall, like I said, I don't dislike Steve Wilkes. I like Steve Wilkes. He's a North Carolinian, just like me. Very successful when it comes to defense. My whole thing is this. I think overall, the fan base crowns him way too high than what he should be crowned for. Way too high. Super Trebo says, hey, sup, Jason? On my lunch break, just heard the news. Not sure how I feel about this. Not excited, but hope I'm wrong. We'll see. Who did you originally want, Super Trebo? Because like I said earlier, Super Trebo, in 28 seasons, we've only had 3 seasons where our offense was in the top 10 overall. 3 out of 28. And we just now got our first ever offensive-minded head coach. So, something to keep in mind, Super Trebo. We get quarterbacks in the late round like McKee and Bennett. Stetson Bennett, I wouldn't be against Stetson Bennett, to be honest with you. I wouldn't be against him. Mr. Gemini said there was a few people that said that this was a race thing, but it's not, though. Those people are just emotional. Yeah, I've been hearing that, too, and it's so freaking stupid. It's like, I don't care what race he is. I just want a winning coach, a coach that helps us win. I don't care if he's black, white, Asian, Hispanic, green, blue, from another planet. I don't care. I could care less what his skin tone is. I want a winning coach. That's what I care about. I want a winning coach. I want a coach that knows how to win and can get us to the big dance and win it. Because we've been twice, but we hadn't been able to win it. Same here. Reich just had the better resume and credentials. And the word is, it hadn't been disclosed, but the word is, it sounds like in his interview, Reich has a list of staff suggestions for his coaching staff. I don't know what they are, but I'm interested to see what he might go for, because we got to remember Frank Reich is somebody, he's played the quarterback position. He's coached the quarterback position. He's coached the wide receivers position. He's coached an offense, and he's been the head coach. 5 on his 5. And I also heard that Wilkes was the third option and that Kellen Moore was the second. Ooh. Really? Huh. Dang. I don't know what to say to that, but dang. Woo. Super Trey Boat says, I was hoping for Ken Dorsey or Wilkes, or even the guy from the Eagles, Shane Steichen. Never cared for Peyton because of all the trades would want with it. True. If Wilkes does good and Frank does bad, it's going to look really bad. I mean, regardless, Super Trebo, it's going to be risky because there were a lot of candidates that I felt would fit the bill for sure. But there's a reason why Frank Reich got picked. And you know what? I'm not against it. You know, for the longest time, offense hasn't really been our strong suit throughout this franchise. It's been mainly defense. And like I said, last season, we did all right with defense. We did all right, but a lot of room for improvement. But we need to hit this offense hard. We need to hit this offense hard. Frank is going to try his hardest to trade up and take Stroud or Levis. I'm not 100% against either of those two. My thing is specifically with Levis, he has a injury history. That's my only thing with him. He has injury history. But they say the quarterback who has the highest ceiling is Anthony Richardson, who could supposedly be a Cam 2.0. Khalil Wesley says, did Tepper make the right decision making Reich the head coach? I think it's a very understandable decision. You know, I hope it's the right one, but I'm for it. I'm not against it. I'm totally for it. He would have gotten my support if it went with Steve Wilkes or anybody else. In all honesty, really the one coach that I really did not want because of what we'd have to sacrifice was Sean Payton. That's not the takeaway from his record, but we would have had to sacrifice too much. Mr. Gemini said, but one thing that might scare me is if he goes after Carr. Yes, I agree. I personally do not want Carr. I do not want Carr. I don't really want any type of veteran project. I'm even still kind of hesitant on Sam Darnold, but we need to start fresh. Enough of these project veterans. I don't want any more project veterans. I don't want any of other people's mess. We've done that for a number of seasons in a row. We need something new, Khalil Wesley. We need something new. We've messed around enough with Teddy Bridgewater, bringing back Cam Newton, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield. No, we need somebody fresh. We need somebody fresh. Joe Valesco says the only reason I want the Panthers to trade up for is Anderson or Jalen Carter. I mean, but what's the biggest need though, Joe Valesco? You got to ask yourself, what's the biggest need? And realistically, it's quarterback. And that's based on experience that we've had so far. That's the biggest need right now. You know, it's clear with how these last handful of seasons have been, quarterback is our biggest need. We need to hit a home run with that. Yeah, we need to hit a home run with quarterback. We might miss the mark with linebacker again. Heck, we may even miss the mark with edge. But I think a big priority right now is we got to at least hit a home run with the quarterback. We got to. The biggest need is quarterback. Then defensive end and middle linebacker and maybe another cornerback. Yeah, I can be down with that. We can't get an offensive guru with Frank and not have a quarterback. And that's the big thing that stands out. So you best believe we are getting a quarterback. We're drafting a quarterback. We get quarterback in the second or later round. I think we have the chance to get one in the first. We should take it. I really do. I really do. I'm not opposed to second or later, but we need a home run hit. I'm not so sure if that'll come in the second round or later, but we need a home run hit at quarterback. We haven't done it since 2011 with Cam. It's time to do so. We've been settling for mediocre long enough. I know it. Y'all know it. The main thing that stood out to me as far as last draft or just last season in general, we finally fixed the O-line. We finally fixed the O-line. And we need to keep that together. Khalil Wesley says, we don't want another Cam Newton like Anthony Richardson. Well, I am not opposed to a pocket passer or dual threat. But let's also keep in mind that Cam has our franchise's only MVP. We need to stop putting disrespect on Cam when he's won an MVP and was on his way to a second one until he got hurt. There have been way too much of the fan base disrespecting Cam Newton when he's the best quarterback we've had to this day. But I believe that Frank Reich will get his quarterback. It might be someone we never heard of, but he's got to get his franchise quarterback. I have faith. And that's another thing, too. We got to believe, being that he has experience building up quarterbacks, we got to believe that he'll be able to do the same with whoever that he grabs. I mean, that's what he's supposed to do, right? That's what he's supposed to do, right? Joe Valesco says, I don't see the Commanders taking a quarterback. They have Sam Howell. The Seahawks can draft a quarterback next year. Anthony Richardson can fall in the second round, which is very possible. Very possible. That is in the past. Cam Newton days was memories. Okay, you said Cam Newton 2.0. Okay, you're referencing somebody that won an MVP. That's like me saying we could get a Drew Brees 2.0. You're referencing somebody that's had some success. What's the difference? You can't say that and reference somebody that has done well for us. Like, that's contradictory. Now, I could see if you said something like, what's his face? David Carr 2.0, or like a Jimmy Clausen 2.0. They were not successful. Cam was. It's not the same comparison. It's not. That's not the same comparison. That's like saying somebody we get could be a Lamar Jackson 2.0. The dude has won an MVP. Let's see, what time is it? Okay, I got a little bit left. But yeah. So we got our coach. Now we just got to look at how they're going to build the coaching staff. What kind of moves are going to happen there? Combine, free agency. They got a lot of work to do. This is just the start, ladies and gentlemen. This is just the start. But I'm intrigued. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. Camera. Looking forward to seeing what happens. Khalil Wesley says Tepper wants a quarterback like Josh Allen. Let me ask you something. He hired a coach that reminded him of himself. You know who that was? Matt Rule. How did that work out? We'll see what happens. But we can't go solely on that when we have a GM. Do Frank Reich use his tight ends? That is a good question. I do wonder how he will use the tight ends, especially being that there's many that say the tight ends that we have are mainly blocking, not receiving. So I'm very curious. I'm curious to see for myself. Oh man. Okay, hold up, y'all. There's an article on ESPN. talking about the hire, and check this out. Check this out. So Whitgore LLP, a New York City-based law firm that represents Steve Wilkes in his discrimination suit against the NFL for being fired after one season as the head coach of Arizona, responded to the decision to hire Frank Reich on Twitter. Check this out, y'all. It says, "We are shocked and disturbed that after the incredible job Wilkes did as the interim coach, including bringing the team back into playoff contention despite not making the playoffs and garnering the support of players and fans, that he was passed over for the head coach position by David Tepper. There is a legitimate race problem in the NFL, and we can assure you that we will have more to say in the coming days." Oh, my God. Really? Folks just have to make it a race thing. Like, I really don't care what race the coach is. I want a winning coach. And by record, 9-18 is not a winning coach. I mean, it's a business. It's a business. It's a business. David Tepper says, and I quote, "Winning is the most important thing both on the field and in the community, and I'm committed to winning a Super Bowl championship together." Yeah, you're right, Khalil Wesley. He did hire the wrong coach. He clearly hired the wrong coach. And if you ask me, they didn't take the necessary time to interview multiple coaches at that time before the hiring of Matt Rule, especially when the basis of the hire is, "He reminds me of me." Yeah. David Tepper may have a say, but it's still David Tepper. I'll just leave it at that. It's still David Tepper. But now they got folks making this a race thing. Just I mean, it's a business. And like it's like I said before, if we would have made the playoffs, I think he would have hands down got the job. Now, if he made the playoffs and he didn't get the job, then yeah, I would be pretty upset. But we didn't make the playoffs. He was a game away, a game we really should have won. Failed. They always go to race nowadays. SMH, yeah, and it's really annoying. It's annoying. Like, so what are folks gonna do? If he gets hired as a head coach somewhere else, are y'all gonna switch teams? Just saying. Okay. It's really ridiculous. Like, somebody's always got to make it about race. What the heck? Super Trebo says, I guess it is kind of exciting for first time we have offensive minded head coach. And that's what you have to have in today's NFL. Hopefully Frank does a good job. NFC South most likely between Atlanta and Carolina, which and also Mr. Gemini is right. David Tepper did say wanted an offensive minded coach as well as a coach with experience. So yes, that's what he got was an offensive minded coach. College coaches fail in the NFL. What about Pete Carroll? I mean, Pete Carroll, technically he counts. He's been a head coach in both college and the NFL. Jim Harbaugh too. I'm trying to think. Did he coach somewhere before Michigan? Wait, did he coach somewhere before Michigan? Oh, Stanford. That's right. I was like, I know dang old well he's coached somewhere else besides Michigan. Stanford. Okay. I was like, wait a minute. Okay. But yeah, I'm on board with the hire. Overall, I'm on board with the hire. So we took care of the first piece, y'all. We took care of the first piece. Now we gotta build on this. We gotta build on this with personnel, players, draft and free agency. We gotta build on it. Gotta build on it. We got a coach that threw the first touchdown pass in Panthers history, which is true. That is true. You could play with him on Tecmo Bowl, or at least Tecmo Super Bowl 3. But yeah, you could play with him in Tecmo Super Bowl 3. Oh, man. But Khalil Wesley says Jim Harbaugh went back to coach Michigan. He made the right choice. Perhaps, but he's another one that's had success. as a NFL head coach as well. So at least Jim Harbaugh definitely had some options, but he's definitely been successful as a NFL head coach. Maybe more so as a coach versus a player. Although he did get one Pro Bowl as a player. But I would say he's definitely had better times as a coach versus a player. But I mean, he's also had, a good number of experience as a player, as a quarterback. So at least there's that. I would have loved to have Jim Harbaugh, but I can understand why he decided to stay with Michigan. I can understand. But yeah, there was if it came down between him and Sean Payton, I would have leaned a little more towards Jim Harbaugh, but mainly because that whole Bounty Gate scandal just rubbed me the wrong way. But that's just me. That was just me. But yeah, that's just me. But let's see. That's pretty much, I don't know, that's pretty much all that I really have. Like I said, this was breaking news. And as I said, Frank Reich will sign his contract on Monday, barring anything crazy happening. And the word is it's for 4 years, 4-year deal. Mr. Gemini says, I'm really looking forward and excited about the draft and free agency and what this team is going to look like. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We got our first piece. Got our first piece. We just got to build. Got to build. Got to keep on building. Jets hire a new offensive coordinator. Yeah, it was the Broncos' old coach, I believe. That was who they went with. Yeah, Nathaniel Hackett. Dan Quinn is returning to Dallas as the defensive coordinator. So, moves being made. Do you think Reich will use Sam or keep Sam? I think it's 50-50. But we'll have to, like me personally, I would see what's left after considering bringing back D'Onta Foreman and who else was I thinking? Jeez, I done lost my train of. Oh, Bradley Bozeman. We should see what we can do after strongly considering bringing those two back and see what kind of room we would have. Perhaps Sam as a bridge, but I expect to see an overhaul on offense, a much needed overhaul. So only time will tell. And I'm glad we didn't get Dan Quinn. Me too. Especially not a head coach. No way. After that Falcons choke job, no. But a lot of the analysts like the hire of Frank Reich. So we'll have to see what happens, y'all. Hopefully it goes well. I think I'm optimistic. I'll say that. I'm optimistic. But let's see. Anyway, coach secured. Well, will be come Monday when he signs on the dotted line. But Frank Reich, first played quarterback for us, now first offensive-minded head coach for the Carolina Panthers. All right, let's go get our quarterback. Keep pounding, no matter what. We got our coach. Let's go get this quarterback situation settled. Let's go. Get hyped. Frank Reich in the house. Let's do this. Also want to remind everybody to check out the link to Game Beauty for a bunch of video game themed makeup and cosmetic products. After all, Valentine's Day is on the way. Get that little special gift for that special somebody. And if you happen to plan on making a purchase, don't forget to use the promo code BlitzballChamp, all in caps, and you get 10% off of your order. So put it to good use. I want to thank y'all so much for coming out to the stream to partake in this breaking news. We got a coach. Much more work to be done. Let's get to it. Like, comment, subscribe, notification bell, hit it, share the stream as well. For another Carolina Panthers talk, brought to you by Blitzball Champ Gaming here on the U to the Tube. My name is Jason Ingram, and I hope each and every one of y'all have a blessed evening and a blessed weekend. Peace.